Well, all right, all right, all right. Welcome everybody. Another episode of Legends Sports and Amplify, and we're always here. Not as often as I was. We're getting back in the saddle here, but we're talking a couple times a week about baseball history, Negro League baseball history, Caribbean baseball, art, music, all those passions and pursuits that surround it. And I am really, really happy to have on again from England. We got a little bit of a time difference, so we're early in the morning today. But artist Andy Brown, how you doing, Andy?
Very good. Thanks so much for having me on. It's good to be back.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time. I had such a blast talking with you back in November. And, we talked about how I had first come across your work and how I love your style, the way you do it, what you're doing with it. I just think it's fantastic. And so when I got to talk to you, man, oh man, I went back and I listened to that conversation, and I'll tell you what, that there was so much great information in there that as I'm talking to you the first time, when I re-listened to it again, it was, I don't know, it seemed better. I mean, the detail you were talking about, the art that you were doing for the stadiums in England, and
Ah,
and
yeah.
and how that came about, and what you were seeing in those paintings, the history, and
Oh, yeah.
that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I really appreciate your work and all the artists and everyone else who's doing something to keep these stories alive, because they're very, very
Absolutely.
important. So
Absolutely.
so
Yeah,
you
that tour around England was fantastic. That was over COVID and all the lockdown period. To have a chance to see baseball and paint it in my home country was that
awesome.
was really special, really special. And like you say, the tie-in between the culture and the history, that's what I'm very interested in. The baseball, the culture, the history, how it all interrelates. And in the ballparks that we went and saw and I painted, there was British history and all sorts of history. It was fantastic.
It really was, and so now you just had another little odyssey, and
That's right,
when
yeah.
we talked, I think it was like the first of November, very early November. It had not quite come about, but you were about to head somewhere that, and we talked about it a little bit, but has got an incredibly deep baseball history and culture and tie, and you got to live it and experience it for quite some time. Tell us about your recent trip down to
Absolutely.
the Dominican.
Yeah. I was over there for originally it was going to be 3 months, but it turned into 4 months.
Amazing.
And I was painting the lead on. I was painting the Serie del Caribe because it happened to be in Santo Domingo this year.
Hmm.
But I was also painting all different levels. That was the fantastic thing about it. It was a lot of work. It was very intense, but it was, I was painting in sugarcane ball fields one day or one morning, and then in the evening I'd be in the Estadio Quisqueya painting the big match of the night or whatever. So it was every level of it on the streets, on the rubbly pavements, on the sugarcane football fields, whatever it was, wherever baseball was, I was there painting it, meeting the people, doing the portraits, yeah, recording it all. Really, it was wonderful. Really, it was quite an experience. Incredible.
That was what was, I think, so made it even more fun for me. I'm sure for lots of people, but you put out something just about every day, sometimes several a day, of
Yeah,
just what you were seeing, not just what you were painting and working on, but just walking around,
yeah,
telling, letting people see what it was like. Because when I
yeah.
went, I went on vacation. I had the opportunity to go a couple years ago, and I loved it. And
Hmm.
it helps when like I mentioned, my wife's from Guadalajara originally, so she speaks Spanish
Yeah,
fluently, so that helps. But you know. Just to be able to see what you were seeing was just a lot of fun, and
yeah,
the outside of the baseball is
yeah,
is fantastic, but it's
yeah.
just a great place to go visit if anybody gets an opportunity to. So,
It's a mind blowing place. It's such a place of
mhm.
extremes. Like the rich and the poor and the noise and the silence. You go around a corner, the whole world changes, and it's yeah, it was incredible. I feel like it was 4 months, but it feels like a lifetime of experiences. Really, it was everything you could want to see and not want to see. I saw it and did it, and it's all there. It was good to be so immersed in it all and hopefully get a bit of an understanding of it, and hopefully that
Mhm.
translates to the paintings and to the work that I was over there doing. So
Mhm.
I think we did it. It was a it was great. It was really quite something else. It really
It
was.
it was, and so this was a project. This was more than just
Yeah,
you. This is more than you just going and doing some work there. You had some,
that's
definite,
right.
structure to it besides what you
That's
were
right.
doing. So, what can
That's
you
right.
tell us a little bit about that
Yeah,
project you were working on?
I was over there working with an agency who put out a book every year to do with Dominican culture. So I was over there. I met one of the gentlemen involved with the whole thing back in Guadalajara in 2019, and yeah, they wanted to do with baseball and baseball, the culture of the baseball in the Dominican, and like you said, I mean, the Dominican's got such a rich
Mm,
history of baseball. But what I didn't understand was for example, the All-Star game. I was at the All-Star game, painting the All-Star game, and you look down on the field and, the names and the people that you see, you thought, oh, he's Dominican. Oh, I didn't realize he was Dominican. Oh, I didn't realize he's Dominican. And then you go to the Players Museum and you see the
mhm,
first Dominican player, Ozzie Virgil, and then you see the growth of Dominican players through the years, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the list just gets huge. And you just realize, wow, the contribution that the Dominican Republic has made to baseball history is phenomenal.
mhm.
And then you also go around and you see what it means to people's lives. Like there's the academy systems, all the MLB academies. Of course, we went there and visited those. We went to the other academies that feed into the MLB academies. And you can see how everybody's trying to get in those things so they can better themselves. It's a doorway to greater opportunities for many families and many people. And what I didn't appreciate is what it really means to the people there, and how it's so close to life. Like it's not like anywhere else I've been. It is, you step out the house, you cross the street, there's somebody playing baseball. You walk down the street, there's somebody playing
Mhm.
softball. You go over there, there's somebody playing fatia. Like everywhere you go, there's baseball on the TV, baseball being talked about, or being played in some sort of form. And it's recreation, enjoyment. It's a sport, it's a game, but it's also business. It's a way out of poverty. It means everything to people there. And it's to have been there and be painting it. When I first went, I thought, okay, well, we're making a book here, and I had to do 100 odd paintings. So I thought, okay, well,
Wow.
it's a lot of work to do, but I'm pretty prolific with what I do. That's not a problem. But what I didn't realize is just how important it is, and what it really means to people there for the good and for the good and the bad. It's just a lifeline, really. It really is, and hugely important. So to be there and to capture what I did was fantastic, because I think you might have seen some of it. I couldn't put everything on Twitter because it will be released later this year, but it was the ballparks and the games themselves, like I normally would paint, but also I was painting, like I've got one here, this little sketch or little portrait of Manuel, one of the boys that I met in the ballpark. So a little
Mhm.
boy who's catching foul balls, hoping to sell them to foreigners or sell them to people to make a few pesos. So you meet people like that, and you meet these all these different characters around the ballpark, in the ballpark, or playing, and you kind of realize a little bit more about what baseball really means in a world sense, and how it varies from one culture to the next and one country to the next.
No, it's incredible, and I saw it, but nowhere near as deeply as you did. But exactly what you're saying. When I went there, it was like, to me, being a baseball fan and a baseball history fan, it was like baseball heaven. I mean, it really
Mm,
was. I mean, everywhere you went,
yeah.
it brought me back to when I was a kid, when I growing up, and we talked the last time about how you got into. Uh, you were being a baseball fan through
Hmm.
living in Korea, which is, I think,
Correct.
is very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
but I grew up, from barely the time you can walk. I mean, my dad, you got a baseball glove, and that's
Right.
the way it was, and it's changed. And here, there's a lot of different things you can do. There's a lot more sports you could be involved in, and baseball to me has tended to get more with the more paper play kind of thing. It's not the same as it was when I was a kid. Not
Hmm.
you have to have the I don't want to say you have to have the money, but in a way you do in order to get into some of
Hmm.
those pipelines here, and that's when I was there, and you saw it. You've just been talking about it. It brought me back to when I was a kid, and baseball was all around you, everywhere you
Oh,
went,
it
and
really is. Yeah.
yeah, and it
and
really
and
is fun.
from, like you say, like the smallest kids will have a baseball glove on. You'll
Mhm.
go to the little league games. We went to little league games and I painted those. And again,
Awesome.
you got kids who the bat's longer than them, and they're holding it above their shoulder. And but the way the way they stand, the way they throw, the way they're hitting is incredible. You think no wonder there's so many players coming out of the Dominican Republic. The coaching and the dedication of the coaches is really something else to see.
Now, you said you got to go visit some of the Major League Baseball academies that were there?
Yeah, we went to the feeder academy. So we went to the academies where they hope that the youngsters will go into the MLB academies. So we went to those places, and again the contrast between those and the surrounding villages or the surrounding areas was kind of shocking. It's they're multi-million-pound-dollar complexes or whatever, and but outside there was boys with a broom handle with a water bottle on the end, and they were going to play some baseball with that, and they've got no shoes on their feet. So you've got all the time I found in the Dominican, it was just such extreme contrast. Even in the stadiums, like the noise in the stadiums, it was again like nothing you've heard before. It just absolutely explodes. So it's quiet and then it absolutely explodes. And it's so yeah, the academies and the academy system, you could understand how important it was and what people giving up to be there and to learn the craft of baseball, what it really means. So again, it's a huge investment for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm. And the kids are getting into that pipeline. You mentioned very, very young, but some of these academies, aren't they signing these kids to contracts at incredibly young ages, right?
Yeah. They have to. I mean, yeah, they're full. Well, I mean, some of the children I met, not after the Little League stuff, I guess in one of the academies, they were 13, 14. Once they get to 16, that's when the MLB teams are wanting to get them on board. So, so really, they're growing up very fast. They're big guys. I mean, the amount they work out and the amount they train, they are very strong teenagers and very fit teenagers. And then they're trying to get into the academies to, again, of course, get the big contracts and, help everybody around them, really. That's one of the other things I found. It was fantastic. We went to the town where Vlad Guerrero's from. And again, the way that you can see he's put money into the town and where he was from. And same with, Big Pappy with his Heart Foundation and all these different ways. The ways that the players and the culture, everybody's helping each other out. They're going back. They never forget where they're from, I guess would be the thing. And they're really like helping like the next generation come through and have the opportunities that they've got to. So very inspiring, amazing. Like the people I met, it's like, again, Big Pappy, one day you're painting Big Pappy, the next day you're painting the boys shining shoes. It was just fast extremes all the time. But everybody's, very friendly, very humble, very welcoming, very, very kind. I just the best time.
Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned to you the last time, baseball is like a language. I mean, my Spanish is poquito, I mean, I imagine yours you were able to get better as you were there, being there for 4 months. That's my wife always told me that if she really wants me, because I understand most, I just am a little more uncomfortable speaking because I'm always afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing. Plus, then if I'm somewhere, say I'm in Guadalajara visiting and I go out to the store or something, and if I say anything in Spanish, people then assume I speak Spanish and they begin talking faster, and I have to say, okay, slow down a little bit, But the language of baseball was so much. We were able to communicate with everybody just through. Once they knew I was a baseball fan, and it was so much fun.
Absolutely.
And so. The history there, are people aware of the baseball history in the Dominican? It sounds like they are, right?
Yeah, they Big Pappy is such a superstar, of course. Juan Marichal is like a huge Pedro Martinez. I mean, and they are, he's Big Pappy. He is like a father figure to them all. There's such a legacy that he's left behind, and everybody's, those guys, those three were on the field at the All-Star game, and Juan Marichal went into bat. And you had Big Pappy catching, you had Pedro Martinez pitching, and I think Juan Marichal put down a bunt, and that was, and the whole stadium just exploded. It absolutely exploded, like roared of laughter and fun and cheering and just admiration for these three guys and what they've done. But it's funny what you say, like about the language, like I found that when I was painting, like art is such a language, such a visual language, of course. So although my Spanish isn't as good as I'd like it to be, and just like you're saying, you start speaking a little bit and then it comes back 10 times as quick as you can handle it. As soon as you start painting, people are very interested and they want to talk. And I found that I'd be painting and you get some young kids might come around and gather, and you could teach them a bit of English, they'd teach you a bit of Spanish, I'd be showing them how to paint, a little bit of an art lesson or whatever, and they'd love it. And it was great for me, it was great for them. It was I used to be a teacher, so I enjoy, I think, education, of course. I love teaching and learning, and I feel like, it's great to be able to make my work, do my work, but also along the way I learn from these kids, I learn from the culture, but also hopefully I'm showing them a little few things here and there as well. But it's very nice, that two-way kind of exchange.
Very, very cool. So one of the things, as you know, I started all this having these conversations is centered around the Black baseball history, Negro League baseball history, and many of those who you have on the painting behind you.
Yeah.
Most of, if not all of them, spent time playing in the Dominican, playing in Puerto Rico, playing in Cuba, playing in Mexico. How much of that knowledge is there in the Dominican Republic?
I think it depends who you ask with that. I think the older generations, and it also depends on the teams they follow. If they're like an Escogido fan, then they probably know a little bit more about the players on the canvas and the legacy and who they were and when they played. I'd say the younger generation, of course, Fernando Tatis and Vlad Guerrero Jr. They are, on every billboard you pass or everywhere you go, you see these guys' faces. So that's the new generation, and they are really following those guys, and they're the coolest kids around. So, but that the older stuff, there's definitely, there's people aware of it, but I think it is more the, probably people my age and above are a bit more aware of it than the new generation.
So you went to how many different cities, stadiums while you were there? I got to go to two. I was fortunate enough, but you were there for 4, and we were there. I think it was like 8 days or 9 days. You were there for 4 months. You had to see a lot, right?
Yeah, I did all the major stadiums. So all the 5 main stadiums. So the one in Santo Domingo, La Romana, where the Toros play, San Pedro de Macorís, where the Estrellas are, where the Gigantes are, in San Francisco, and then in Santiago up in the north. So I went to all 5 of those, and numerous times, we'd go back for different matchups, Licey and the Aguilas in Santiago. That's the big matchup. That's the big rivalry, or one of the biggest rivalries. So, went to a couple of those games to see that and experience that atmosphere. But then it was, to be honest, I'm not really sure how many ballparks I did while I was there, because it was those 5, but then when I was like with the agency, when we were making the book, it was a matter of, okay, in the morning, might go to a Vitia game. So it might be, in the Olympic Park, guys with broom handles and bottle tops, and we'd watch that, and I'd do a painting of that. I've got one of those. I've got one of those kind of here, a little ink drawing. Let me see if I can spin that around. I don't know what you're going to put it up on the screen, but so there you got, that's in the Olympic Park, in the just on a basketball court almost. And you got the guys, it's incredible, again, how well they're hitting with, a broom handle and a bottle top. And then in the afternoon, we might go to a Little League game somewhere outside the stadium, might be painting the scene there. And then in the evening, it might be the main game of the day in the league dom. So, you know what, I haven't actually counted up how many ballparks I went to while I was there, but a lot. There was a lot of all the different levels. So it's, some very informal, some very casual. But, again, when I was there, I kind of thought about, well, how many ballparks have I painted now? And it's around the world, it's well over 100. And I suspect it's getting to 120 different ones all around the world, around that kind of number. So it's, it keeps going up, and that's fantastic.
Absolutely. So what did people think of what you were doing? Because, you got to admit, it's not something that you see every day. Somebody in a stadium painting the game as it's happening. What were they? What was the reactions you were getting?
They loved it. It was a lot of fun. It's always you always made to feel quite welcome, or very welcome. It's just so noisy. Like it's like another level of fandom, another level of passion that I've never been around. So when you're in that, and everyone's jumping up and down. It was near the end in the finals. I had a space, and I thought, okay, I'm going to paint up here tonight. I was there a few hours earlier, got my easel set up, got my paints all ready, and I thought, yeah, this is a good angle, perfect. There was nobody around, or not too many people around. I thought, yeah, this is going to be fine. But within about an hour or so, the easel was right up close in my face. I could hardly hold my paintbrush. I was like dabbing in the paint like this, and it was because there was trumpets, drums, and people jumping up and down all around me. And they were very, they loved it. Like they would watch me painting, and they'd cheer along, and it was all, you're just part of the crowd, really. But it was challenging at painting like that at times, but also it's fantastic fun because you really are, you're in there with everybody, and it's all going off all around you. So it's people enjoyed it. There's no doubt about that. It went down well.
I bet. I mean, that's the way I would take it. I mean, if someone showed up at my little stadium somewhere, and I'm not saying that they're little, I'm just saying, like, if you showed up somewhere and took the time to do that, I would be forever impressed, because it's not something that you see
No.
much. That's for sure. What you're doing is so much fun.
That's it. I think this project, it was such a blur. I feel like it was 4 months. It was really 3 months doing the actual work for the book, and that 3 months it was the most extreme, most intense period of time or period of work I think I've ever had. It was every day, it was long days of getting up early, going to one place, doing some painting, next place, doing some painting, going to the game in the evening, doing some painting, and then the same thing most days, rinse and repeat. And I remember at the end of 3 months, I had an apartment there, and I put the paintings up on the wall and around me at the end of the apartment, kind of a bit of a studio space. And then I remember at the end just turning around, or one day I sat on the TV, watching the TV, and I turned around, there was all these paintings, and I just suddenly thought, where did they all come from? I feel like I was there, and I was there watching these paintings happen, and I can remember all the paintings happening, but to see the sheer quantity of paintings, and to be able to look at them and remember, that was, Chepe, one of the coaches in San Pedro de Macorís, and there was his son, and, all the little stories they told me, and all these little memories associated with each one. It was just very, very surreal to turn around and see this huge, this whole huge cross section of everything in the Dominican Republic. And then again, being there for so long, I feel like I really learned, and I learned from people that I'd met and talked to, what it meant to the people there. And you really realize, actually, this work is really important to it. This is a huge part of the culture. I don't think it's been examined in that depth, in that way, in such a way ever. And to have been there behind the easel watching it happen was an absolute pleasure. So to have done that and been there, and I feel very honoured to have had the chance, really. And I'm hoping that the work, we're hoping that the work later on in the year, it will become part of an exhibition, so that the actual people in the paintings will be able to see the paintings of themselves, and they'll be on display around the streets or outside the stadiums. Because again, I think it was the final game, the Gigantes won the league, and went down on the field, and there's a big celebration, all the ticker tape and fireworks and stuff on the field, and all the players are up on the stage. And then a guy came up to me, and he tapped me and he said hello and blah blah blah, and he was talking to me. And it ended up that I'd met him about 2 months before outside the stadium painting one of the Little League games. His son was in the Little League game. So again, he remembered that he was in the painting. So he was telling me, I'm the guy in your painting. You painted me 2 months ago in this one. And then you realise, it's stuck in his mind, and he's remembered that. And it's quite unbelievable. It's the impact that all of that work had on me, but hopefully also the people around me was profound. Really, it was like nothing else. Like everywhere I've been, everything I've done, I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I think it's been very successful. But this was just the most it's the most dense body of work I think I've ever made, and I think it's something quite special, really.
Absolutely. And now you just kind of touched on that, but you got to meet several artists that are from the Dominican as well, right? And I know I saw some of the videos, but you're what you're doing. I mean, to me, I think it's kind of inspiring. I mean, there's a lot of things. Sometimes, boy, it's kind of why I tried to have these conversations with not just the insiders. I want people. I want people to maybe see that, what you're doing is something that you can take to the next level because someone else has done it, right? So what you're doing, you had the opportunity to meet, and I don't know if you worked with them or what, but there were several artists you got to be with down in the Dominican, right?
Yeah, just you I don't know. I feel like one of the great things I love about my work is when you're out and about, and when you're in life, when you engage with life, when you're outside and you're on the streets or you're in the stadiums or wherever, that gives you such a nice opportunity to meet people, talk to people, interact, learn from them about, what's going on in their life, what's going on in their day. And it goes both ways, doesn't it? And I feel like there's, I was painting the car parking guys. I was painting the Domino's players outside the corner shop at Colmado. And through that one painting these guys playing dominoes, they all wanted their portraits done. So it ended up that, so sometimes I'd go out and then I'd bump into one of them. Hey, when are you going to do my portrait? Okay, right, we'll sit down, we'll do it today. So I do their portrait. And again, it's a nice interaction. And then sure enough, it was a very arty area where I was staying. And so you meet a lot of different artists and you get to, again, you exchange ideas and have fun and create and make. And it's all the good stuff, really. So it was phenomenal. I'm just thinking where the domino, here's the dominoes. There's the dominoes, guys. I did a few of those guys. That was one just on the. But again, I kind of now at that time I didn't really know them, but of course they all came up to me later. Hey, we wanted, you need to get my portrait done and whatever. So then I started to learn a little bit more about their lives and their stories. So those were the ones on the corners of. But again, they've all lived interesting lives, very different lives to mine, maybe to yours. And but it's life and. It's interesting to see how they hear about how they see it and how their relationship to baseball and and just how they get on really. So it was quite a treat, a real learning lesson. I feel like.
What I told you this the last time we talked as well. What I love about your work is, and I asked you about your style. What is that style, right? Because you can do close to photorealistic, some of the ones that you've done that are behind you, some of your dream teams, you can do it, but you don't, and that's what I think is fun about your work, that you called it, it's like an impressionist.
I'm probably an impressionist. I've got to work fast. It's I want to capture the moment. I want to capture the person. I want to capture that day, capture that second, those few hours. So, when I was painting David Ortiz, you're there and he's in a press conference effectively, and he's sat a few meters away and he's moving around, he's talking to the journalists and whatever else. And, I've got to work fast. I've got to try and capture him in the best way that I can. In the time that I've got, and you don't know how long you've got. I wasn't sure, I asked before, was he going to be an hour or half an hour? And they were like, well, we don't know. He'll come and answer some questions, and then he'll go. And I think he ended up being there about an hour and a half. But you've got to go quick. I mean, again, for me, I've got so much stuff that I want to do in my life. I feel like I haven't got time to stand around and wait. Like I can't just do one painting. I've got thousands of paintings I still want to do. So I've got to get on to the next one, So, yes, I'd say I was an impressionist with a expressionist kind of twist, like the color and the atmosphere and the brushstrokes is all part of it.
So that I wanted to ask you this the last time we got talking, and I didn't. So impressionist, it does to me capture that mood, like you're talking about, that moment in time. Gives the not just the image, but more like a feeling, right?
That's it. That's exactly.
So when you're doing that in that style, what are you looking for in a scene or a person or whatever in order to highlight that mood? Are you looking for light, colors? What is it what is in your what's that process like?
I think number one, it's being immersed. For me, it's all about being 110% there, 110% in that atmosphere, the smells, the sounds, everything there. I want to capture it. I don't, it's not like I really think, I'm going to use this color to capture this feeling, or I'm going to do this to capture this mood. But I think it's more, I think a good artist's work reflects the artist themselves and their personality and how they see the world. And I feel like, my way in which I work is quite reflective of my personality. And I feel like it's, I feel like I love to soak up the emotions and the atmosphere and the feelings of wherever I am. And I feel like I'm quite finely tuned to those things. And again, that's a good thing and not such a good thing always. But I think that is what I want to show through my art. I want to show the reality and the truth there, or how I see the truth of this person or this place.
There you go.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, I want to tell the story through those things, and it doesn't have to necessarily represent it 110%. The tree may not be there; it might actually be over there. But if it helps the scene, or it makes it feel more how I feel about the scene, then it goes there. But I'm not really making many. I think the decisions in my head or the choices that I'm making are pretty rapid these days, and I'm not very aware of even what I'm doing with it. But I
Cool.
automatically have that natural way of putting together a picture, I guess.
That's cool. That's exactly why what I was asking about is because
Mm-hmm.
you're um, if you're doing a photorealistic painting, you're trying to be as
Mm-hmm.
exact as it can. But
Absolutely.
but what you're doing though is more in that moment, in that mood, and that's what's so cool about it because
Mm-hmm.
it's capturing not only just the mood of the moment, but maybe kind of what mood you're in and that sort of thing. It's kind of
Absolutely.
fun. It's kind
Absolutely.
of fun.
Life imitates art and vice versa, doesn't it? And I feel like my life is the more of my life that goes into the art, the more authentic and more realistic and more real, and the more special it is, the more different it is. For me,
Exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
it's putting my mark on it, or what's important to me with it, or even like that painting now I just showed you of Manuel, the young boy. Well,
Mhm.
he's the main focus. He's the important thing. The Pizza Hut sign at the back here and the seats. Well, they're relevant to a certain extent because it tells you it's the stadium. But the most important thing is him, his glove, his worn out shoes, his worn out jeans. These are the things that I want to that capture me, that interest me, and are
That's
important to me.
that's what I find so interesting about your work, this type of work, is because
Mm-hmm.
a photorealistic. I mean, I could take a photo, and then believe me,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything. I think it's incredible the work that's out there that's so realistic. But
Absolutely.
when you do something, it literally is that second in time. And
Yeah.
I don't even think you can repeat that again, right? I mean,
No, you
you
can't. You
couldn't.
can't. Here's another. This one's kind of unfinished. In fact, this was outside the stadium in the Serie del Caribe. So what it was is there was a break in the game. So I went outside the stadium. I don't know if I move it this way. So over here you've got the people queuing up and coming into the stadium. At the back here you've got Flag Guerrero Senior. This is the outside of the facade of the stadium, and the gate's kind of behind here. But of course, while I'm painting there, I can't remember which boy, but I think it was this guy comes up to me first. So he sees what I'm doing, this little street kid. He's got his face painted, and he kind of points at himself, Vertrado, por favor, whatever. So he wants me to paint his portrait. Okay, all right, stand still, let's get it done. So he's there. He's a little boy. He doesn't want to stand there for long. So you've got 5 minutes at most to try and capture a little bit of him. Now, of course, his mates come along. So you have the next boy come along. This guy here, I've got their names at the bottom, actually, in fact. So you've got this guy comes along. Okay, he wants to see himself in paint. Then his friend comes along. So then you start having these people pop along.
Awesome.
So it becomes like a jigsaw, it's a moving thing. Because again, I feel like, well, I mean, I used to take a
Very
lot of
cool.
photography, different sorts of photography. I love photography, but also life isn't still. Life is constantly moving. Life is constantly changing. And again, I've got there's a little drawing from one night at the stadium. And again, the way I'm using the pencil, the way I'm making the marks, I want to show the atmosphere, the vibration of the lights, the movement of the people. I want it all to be, in these, and there's another one there, all in these drawings and these pieces. I want them to be living. I want them to be alive, essentially, because that's where I'm taking it from. I'm taking it from life. I'm taking it from a scene that I want to capture. So it's
Very fun.
it absolutely is. It's fun. I love it. I mean, I the more I do it, the more I love it, and the more I just love it. I love doing it, being there, getting on with it.
Yeah. So did you get any downtime while you were there? Did you get to do anything else besides just working? Or
This kind of is my
it's
downtime,
it's
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 a mix. Like it's a mix of work and pleasure. Like I love doing the work, but yeah, I mean, I went to the beach a few days and
because they got
did some paintings at the beach.
some beautiful beaches.
Incredible beaches. But when I go to the beach, it's I'm painting again. So again, I've got little watercolors of being at the beach, and this one next to the pool, and I can't remember exactly where I was there. San Francisco de Macorís. So again, when I'm at the beach, then again, I want to capture like this one. I like this one's in Las Terrenas, up in the kind of north of the islands. And again, sunset. You've got people walking down the beach. You've got all these beautiful moments. The surfers. Again, I want to capture that moment in my life, in their lives, in the world. And
Cool.
and it's great. I remember being there, and of course, all this stuff was just when the stuff was happening in Ukraine, and you just you feel very thankful for your opportunity to be there and have the life that you have, and the beauty that was in front of me compared to, unfortunately, what other people have to deal with. So it's
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
does make you appreciate things, right?
It
When
really
you see
does. It
what
really
goes on.
does.
Yeah. So you said you've got some pictures maybe that you wanted to.
Yeah, let's let me share the screen if I can do that. Let's see what we've got. I've got a few things that I thought were kind of, well, we might have already talked about. Let's have a look. I mean, here's a good example of, this is me at the end of the project with some of the work. So there's more paintings than this, but here you can kind of see an idea of the kind of things I was doing and the kind of the amount, I guess. There was a lot, and it was the guy in the stadium selling the food, the different stadiums, the commentators, Big Pappy, Albert Pujols down here, different fans, Batia games.
So
Big.
I can see. I'm trying to see if I can get it up on. Let's see, view options.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. I can see it. I'm not sure if it's streaming it though. Let's see. I can see still you and me.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
It says here I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah.
You are sharing.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm sharing with. Maybe not you. I don't know how that's happened. That doesn't seem right.
I can see all the pictures on my screen, but for some reason it's not out on the stream here. Hang on, let me see what I can do to fix that. So go ahead, keep talking while I try to.
So we've got things like that, and let's see if I go back to the. This was an interesting evening. This is one I've done a painting like this one before. I'm not sure if people can see this or not, but it was inside the stadium. But this time I was up in the media center with the commentators, all the announcers. So they have all the different booths, and I just went into this one booth, and I was behind this man, Franklin Mirabal, one of the main commentators for Licey, one of the big teams in Santo Domingo. And if you've ever seen him, heard him, or not, I've got some videos that I'm going to put out on my YouTube channel very soon. But he's very, very theatrical, very theatrical. You've never heard or seen a commentator like him. So he's always on his feet. He was on his feet for the whole, I think it was about 5 hours this game, because they had a rain delay of about an hour or half an hour. He's on his feet for the whole time. And he's the most passionate Licey fan you've ever heard talking about Licey, and puts so much into every ball. He's like 110% into it, and whether it's a foul, a strike, or a ball or whatever, he's celebrating it, or he's crying about it, or whatever's happening. So it was quite an incredible experience to be there behind him. And again, like the talent of these guys, like I did this with John Morosi and Tyler Morn a couple of years ago in Guadalajara. And again, just the talent of these guys to be able to talk in such a fluent way, where they can, the tone's fantastic, and the way they present is fantastic, and they can multitask. You can take a selfie with them at the same time where they're talking about, the last play. So you've got things like that. Was again a very unique little experience where it was just fantastic, really. These were like at the stadium when I was painting the players. So this was near the end of the project. I was on the field at this is in San Francisco de Macorís. Yeah, San Francisco de Macorís, this one. And I'd met Pipe Ureta, the manager of the team that won the championship, the Gigantes. And he'd recognized me. He came up to me and said, "Oh, you're Andy Brown." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, you enjoyed my work," so on and so forth. And he said, "Oh, look, if we can do anything to help you, just let me know. If tonight you want to come in the dugout and paint, that's great." I was like, "Yeah, yes. Fantastic." And I said, "You know what? Can I also do some portraits?" He said, "Yeah, anybody you want to paint, just let me know." I said, "Well, look, I'll do you." So I came down on the field, and he sat. I said, "Look, can you sit still for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes?" So he sits there for 20, 30 minutes. And I start painting. Now, of course, you start painting him. All the guys are taking BP and whatever else, but slowly but surely they start seeing what you're doing. They start gathering around. So very surreal at one moment. I was painting, and then you turn around and you see these guys gawping at what you're doing, and then you see Marcel Ozuna and all the big names, and you're like, wow. And he's looking at what you're doing, and they're telling you, "Oh, well, this is really good, you got a real talent here," or they really enjoy it. And I'm like, well, I enjoy what you guys do. Like, this is fantastic. Like, it's quite something when later that night they're going to be on the field doing their stuff, and they're enjoying what you're doing there. And there you go, that was Marcel. So he sat down there in the dugout, and I'm here painting him. It's just good fun, a good time.
It's awesome that they enjoyed what you were doing, because it is. I worked for about 7 years in minor league baseball, and
Uh-huh.
there are players who would appreciate that, but then
Hmm.
I came across other players who felt it was like kind of an intrusion kind of
Right,
thing, and
right,
it's
right.
like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
their
yeah.
space. So
Yep.
it's cool that they thought that that was because I saw you did those from the dugout. That was
Yeah,
just a
these. Let me find
blast.
this one. So this was something else. Like I've done this once before. The first time I did it was with Team GB, and that was at the European Championships. And I don't know if I've been to the European Championships with Team GB when we talked
Mhm.
before, but this was last September in Italy, and at the final game. In fact, there's a good better picture of it there on the front of the calendar. But the final game of the tournament that Team GB were playing was against the Czech Republic, and Drew Spencer, the head coach, said, "Oh, look, Andy, tonight, if you want to come in the dugout and paint, you can." So that was again quite an honour, and it was
Mhm.
fantastic that I'd been able to, I guess, earn the respect to be in the dugout with the team, and I wasn't. They understood I wasn't going to be in the way or interfere, and so I did this one here. But then again, when I was in, and just as a little thing, there's a whole book of the artwork from that with the Team GB thing. But that was a phenomenal experience with the Team GB
Mhm.
set up in Italy. But then this was this
So
is another level. This is game.
so
I think it's game.
I can see your file manager.
Oh,
Maybe you need to click on a different window to see the picture because I can see it where you highlighted it.
let me double click it again. There we go. How's that?
Still seeing your whole. I
Oh,
can
let me
see a whole
try.
bunch. I can see a whole bunch of files.
I'll try stop sharing screen.
Mm.
Let me retry sharing the screen again. Now that
Yep,
looks like,
there
how are
we
we
go.
doing?
Yep, now we
Ah,
got it.
okay, right.
Now we
So
got it.
this was the
Oh, look
night, and
at that.
I think it was game four. I'm pretty sure it was game four. If I've got it written on a baseball here. Game two. Game two. This is when I was in the dugout. So this is a baseball
Oh
that I
my God,
got
look at
from
that.
that game, and I
Look at that.
made a little note on it to remind myself that was the thing. So that was in the dugout. Game two of the effectively the World Series, and it was incredible. Like the atmosphere. Luckily, the Gigantes won, but like when they're a strikeout and the player comes in and he's smashing his bat against the water barrel right next to my easel, or when they've hit a home run and everyone's going wild in the dugout, like it was. I'll find a picture of the painting as well, but it was. I mean,
Oh
that,
my
again, you can't be
goodness.
any closer to the action than
No.
in the dugout painting it. And again, I don't think there's many. Um, I don't think that happens very often. So it was quite a privilege to be in there with them doing that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, superb. And then what else we got here? I mean, this was like Chepe, a gentleman that I met who run a team for young boys in San Francisco San Pedro de Macorís, and he invited me to his home to paint his house and to do his portrait. And again, very very humble guy. Um, but what he was doing for the community and what he was doing for the young children of that area was fantastic, coaching them and hoping to get them into one of the academies so they can better themselves. So that was again the
I,
kind of people that I was meeting. I think this was his cousin, or no, sorry, his nephew. Did
I
a paint with
gotta
his nephew.
I gotta say, some of these things that you've got painting in a dugout, I can't think I've ever heard of anybody ever doing that before.
No,
I
think
ever.
that's
You might be the first one to ever
I think I
paint a
might
painting
be.
in a
There's
dugout.
been a few. Oh, and here's the painting. Here's the actual one from inside the dugout. So I don't know if.
It's still on the dugout one for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Please move this window away from shared application. What's that mean? Let's see if let's
And
try
that's
that again.
okay. That's okay. I know you're this. I told you, the thing. Every time I seem like I get this down,
Yeah,
there's some new update. There's some new download, and everything is different than what it was. And it's like, what?
yeah,
I
right.
mean, um,
That one doesn't look like it's wanting to do that. I'm going to stop sharing a minute. I'll start again. Let's see if this works. There we go. Maybe you can see it now. Can you see that one?
I got your. It's okay. It's the your file manager again, but that's okay.
Still, yeah,
I can see where it's highlighted.
yeah.
But yeah, that's okay,
So
Andy.
that so they so yeah. I mean, it was just phenomenal. I mean,
No.
the people you meet, the chances that I was
Oh
offered,
my goodness.
and
When I saw
phenomenal.
when I saw you doing things in the dugout, I'm like, this can't have ever been done. If not, it's been not
No,
that often. I mean,
no, no,
so
no, no.
it's interesting what you just said about the experience of doing that, because here you are trying to paint, and and it takes some concentration. You've got
Oh
your
yeah,
tools of the trade around you. You've got what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
working
yeah.
on. Meanwhile, though, there's the life of a baseball game going on around you. That
Yeah,
was a great description where you
yeah.
said about the, slamming bats and
Oh
celebrating,
yeah,
and you're trying to
yeah.
paint. It's crazy.
There's
It's
there's
too
there's
much fun.
apps. There's havoc going on all around you,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
it's fantastic. Because again, like the stadiums are incredibly noisy, and the players are incredibly noisy. Like the whole atmosphere of
I
a.
bet.
I mean, this was the finals, I guess. But even on a regular game, if the team wins or loses, the celebrations or the disappointment is immense. Like if the
No.
team wins, just on a regular season game, if they win, the whole thing is a massive party. Everybody leaves and there's a huge big parade, huge big party
A
outside. Everyone's
parade?
dancing. Yeah, almost. I mean, everyone's just filing out the thing, singing and dancing and jumping around. It's like a carnival.
Unbelievable.
And that's just one game. And then tomorrow night they're going to come back and hope they win. And that's just for one win. And it's like they've won the World Series. It's on another level, which, even in Mexico, Cuba, other places I've been to, it's passionate and it's loud, but the Dominican really is on another level by itself. It's quite something else.
Very cool. So where are you going next?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I think I'll be back in the Dominican at some point. That's probably the big question is where exactly that. Where next? I'm probably going to be in the States. I'm going to be in the States around the end of April, but that's just for a short little trip. But then really it's a matter of what next. And I think it's going to be
Puerto
Latin
Rico.
America somewhere.
Puerto Rico or Cuba would be fun.
Well, Cuba I've been. I'd like to go back without a doubt. I love Cuba. I thought it was fantastic. But
how about Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico, absolutely. I mean, I'll go it. I'll go it. Like now I've seen, at the Serie del Caribe, there was the Venezuelan fans, the Colombian fans.
Right.
Panama, I've kind of got Nicaragua on a little bit of a on a list at the moment. I feel like, that would be, because essentially what I need to do now is I need to get my Spanish better, and I want to get to new countries and paint more baseball and paint more of the culture to do with surrounding it. So wherever that may be, I'll go and do it. I did have a team in Norway get in touch with me. It was again when I was away, so I thought, okay, I didn't even know they played baseball in Norway, but all right, maybe I'll get over to Norway at some point. So there's a few Team GB tournaments coming up this year as well. So later on in the year in Spain and Germany, I think. So I'm hoping to be with Team GB near the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to be back, and I'll be here for the next few weeks over to San Francisco in California for 10 days. And then after that, I've got to decide what's next. But there's kind of I want to get my YouTube channel better. I've got huge number of videos, which I haven't shared, a huge number of videos that are on there, but I haven't really got them all sorted out as well as I need to or would like to. So I'd like to get that a little bit more organized, a bit more sorted out. But there's, even from these things, I always think I should, there's so many stories that I'd like to write about, different paintings, different places I've been, different people I've met, that I'd like to write a book about it all. Just from the images, I'd like to make another book from it all, world baseball. So who knows? There's a lot to do. There's so much to do. It's incredible, and overwhelming at times, but I just want to keep painting. If I keep painting, I'll be a very happy man.
And you've got some incredible content, incredible stories to tell. I didn't know you were a teacher.
I was, for 15 years I was a teacher.
What'd you teach?
I taught art and design, painting, ceramics, sculpture, printmaking, the whole lot. And it was good. That's what I did. I was taught in England for 5 years, and then that's why I went over to Korea and did 10 years over in Korea teaching in international schools. So that was what kind of, led me into baseball. And then the education thing has gone to aside for the moment. And now it's the art, just solely that. But I really want the art and the education to somehow come together. If I can make both work in a certain way, or I'd like my work to be able to help others in whatever way that might be. If I can do that, that would be fantastic. So the more I can do with that, again, the better. We'll see.
Absolutely. Next time you go, when one of these trips, we like to travel. I haven't done it in a couple of years, obviously with COVID and everything else.
Yeah.
We went to Mexico last year to visit the grandparents, but we didn't really do much. You kind of just there. But maybe one of these days we'll
be at a ballpark somewhere.
That would be fantastic.
Bring your paintbrushes.
Right, Mexico has got a pretty good baseball history as well. I'm on a
Fantastic. Yeah.
quest next time I go there. Bill Wright, Bernice
Hmm.
Wright, is a Negro League player who played in the 40s into the 50s, and he was one of those who went to Mexico. He met a woman from Mexico, married,
Hmm.
stayed there, never came back
Hmm.
to USA Baseball. Um, Opened a bar called Bill Wright's Dugout in a little
Hmm.
town called Aguas Calientes, Mexico, right in the middle of the country
Okay.
there somewhere. And I'm on a quest now to find out what happened to that bar. How,
Hmm.
from what I've read and was able to find out, it stayed around until like the 80s, I think.
Right.
But I would love to hear more stories about it and find out. I'd love to just go. I mean, I hope it's still. I mean, it'd be cool if it's still there.
Absolutely. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't
But
it?
there
Yeah.
are what, like I said, what you're doing. I think is fantastic. There are so many stories to tell, and you're putting on top of your art not just the stories of baseball, but mixing in the culture, the
Hmm.
community, how
Hmm.
that all comes together. I
Absolutely.
think it's great. I
Thank you very
appreciate your
much.
work. Keep on doing it. Like I said, maybe one of these days we can we'll
Absolutely.
cross
Let's
paths
make it
somewhere.
happen.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to get. To Europe even and see some baseball, but I've got
Yeah.
my brother-in-law is from Germany originally, so
Ah, yeah, there you go.
I do have a lot of contacts in Germany and a few other countries. I'm actually funny you mentioned Norway. I'm half Norwegian, so
There you go.
so yeah, I didn't know they had a baseball program. Finland has a
Yeah.
baseball program. I hope you get to
Yeah.
do. I hope you get to do them all. It would be so much.
Absolutely.
It would be so much. I'd
Absolutely.
love to see you paint the fjords and
Oh,
some
yeah.
baseball. That would be very fun.
Absolutely.
But Andy, thank you for your time. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you
I
very much for
appreciate
having
it.
me as ever.
And like I said, I follow you. I love the videos you put out, the work you're doing. I'll keep on supporting. That's one thing I think is important about all this is the support, right? Because I know,
Yeah.
you sometimes, I'm sure you're out there doing these things and you wonder who's actually seeing it, who's watching it,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Likes, the
yeah.
social media interaction, likes, retweets, the subscribing on YouTube is
Hmm.
huge, as you know, I'm sure. Like all the little things, if and I know it seems very small to people at times, they don't realize how much it helps, but all of those things are all things that just help keep me going. And it's wonderful doing the work, but those little things, the more people can do it, I really appreciate it, because it does. And even just the nice little comments, the nice messages, it's so nice that people reach out when I'm somewhere, because some days you're somewhere and you think, oh, you don't know exactly where you're going next. Even like at the minute, I think, well, I'm not sure exactly what the rest of the year looks like, but yeah, please get in touch, help out, like, subscribe. I've got a Patreon if people want to get on that. There's all sorts of ways, and it's all hugely appreciated.
And your website is Andy Brown Artist, right? .com.
AndyBrownStadiums.com
Andy Brown
for
Stadiums.
the
Okay.
website, but on Twitter, Andy B is an artist. Instagram, Andy Brown is an artist, and on YouTube again, Andy Brown is an artist. So, and again on Patreon, Andy Brown is an artist. So all those different ways you can get hold of me, get in touch. I appreciate it all.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm going to sign us off of here.
Cheers.
Don't go away. I'm going to sign us off of here.
Sure.
Take care. Be safe.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.